You mentioned the TV contract. Is that really the next key step in making people feel comfortable with the stability of the Big East?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously we've still got expansion initiatives to complete, but once all that is done, certainly the glue that will continue to hold us together will be that when we get to the market, we can deliver with the kind of TV agreement similar to what the other 5 major conferences have, and that's what we're anticipating.
You know, there's so much talk about what's going to happen to the BCS. You've heard it all.
Really?
After the national championship game, there was the meeting of the. I guess you were there, probably.
I was
New Orleans.
there.
What do you think is the future of the BCS? The +1 model.
Tell me what you think.
Where do you think it's headed? Where do you think the Big East?
It's so premature. It's so premature to try to predict what's going to happen with the BCS. We've had 2 meetings, basically brainstorming sessions where people shared what it is that individually every conference would like to see at the end of the process. There are probably 50 or 60 iterations that are on the table right now, so it's so premature to say this is going to become the outcome. It's just too much to try and put together at this point. I do know we plan to meet later in this month and then again in the middle of February. We've got at least 4 meetings scheduled before we finalize the template and the model of what it is we're going to put together in order to bring to television ultimately what will serve the needs of the group. But it's funny, you look at the BCS and I think everybody around the table agrees. Everybody agrees that the BCS has helped college football in so many ways. It's made everything relevant, and it's given schools that otherwise may not have had an opportunity to play in some of the major bowls to play in the major bowls. But there's also obviously another side to it, and that's the discussion. How do we keep what's been put in place that's been so helpful to so many, and at the same time reduce some of the negatives that have come along with it? But your guess is probably as good as mine today as to what the outcome will be. It's an interesting process and one that we're excited to obviously be involved in.
Kind of an offshoot of that question, is there any worry or any possibility of the Big East losing its automatic qualifying status in years? Or I know that's something that SMU is very excited about.
Sure, and we've worked very hard obviously over the last 4 months to ensure that doesn't happen. We talk about the AQ, and you've heard a lot of discussions going away, and a new model may not have that. Regardless, we're so confident with the membership that we've put together that there's no question in our minds that if we keep the AQ status, that we're going to be in that category.
How do you maintain keeping a status like that?
You got to obviously perform. It's very important, and what the market brings to bear. So obviously, there's a lot of issues that are important to the market, and BCS is built around the market and what the market will demand. And obviously, the number of households that we deliver is another factor in all of that.
Would you say it's harder for a conference to keep its AQ status, or for one that doesn't have one to get it?
I don't know. I mean, it's a challenge in either case, obviously. But like I said, we've worked very hard and tirelessly over the last 4 months to ensure that no matter what happens, that we're positioned to ensure that doesn't happen to us.
In your opinion, what does adding an SMU, adding Houston, some of these schools, do to kind of present that argument to keep that AQ if that's the way the model stands?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the success of the football program over the last 3 years is a very important factor in the mix of things that we looked at. And from our perspective, quality football is what will drive ultimately the deciding issues. So the success that the program's had, Houston, same thing, obviously had a phenomenal year this year up until the very end, and it was a tough ending to their season. But the fact that the 2 schools drive a rivalry as well drives additional value on the TV side. And we were very conscious of that in putting together this new model. Same thing is true with Florida. We have Orlando and Tampa, UCF, USF. And that's another rivalry that's going to drive value on the TV side and create interest in college football and help the brand of the Big East Conference evolve.
Any progress on divisions? I guess you have to wait to finish the expansion initiative before you make any.
Yeah, what we've always said is that once we finish everything, we'd bring all of our people together and we'd have everybody in the room participate in terms of how it is we finalize what it is we're going to do. As is the case with our television situation and everything else that we're doing. When we made the move to expand and we brought everybody around the table, we promised them that there'd be meaningful participation even before they formally entered the league. So we expect everybody to be involved in that.
What kind of responses have you gotten from the basketball schools, mainly like Villanova and Georgetown and Notre Dame, as far as adding, programs who aren't, as prominent like SMU and Houston?
No, our basketball schools from the very beginning have been very supportive of football. if you look at the 32-year evolution of the Big East Conference, every expansion, we've expanded more than any other conference in the history of the NCAA. And every expansion move has been predicated by football over the years. So this is our 9th expansion, and every one of them has been because of football-related issues. And that's obviously underscoring the support that our basketball school presidents have provided to us. That's what they've decided that they wanted to do. They've always been in that position. And obviously at this point in time, they were unanimous, all of them, along with our ongoing football schools, about expanding the conference and adding more football schools.
You are also in the hometown of the Big 12.
Really?
West Virginia. Are you going to stop over in Irving on your way to DFW? And,
No, if I had time, I would.
you still expect West Virginia to be playing in the Big East next school year?
Yes.
You're holding them to the 27 months.
Yes, absolutely.